27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And there isn't one of us that doesn't want to be someplace else. This is what we do. Who we are.
Survive a war, you gotta become war.
Boom. And welcome to Rambo and Frens. I am super excited and also your host, Joe Rambo. So welcome. I see all of you guys piling in. I have been hanging out with our guests behind the scenes here for just a few minutes before the show. You guys are in for quite a treat. So I apologize that the last show we did was a week ago. I do still work swing shift, burning trash to make electricity for all those electric car people out there. I'm sure that's a very small percentage of you guys, but it's what I still do. So we're back today, and I'm trying to make the best out of this week. You guys have two of the most brilliant minds in the movement, especially when it comes to Q, on here today. And tomorrow we will be having Dave from News Treason. So he was gracious enough to have me over there, and it went really, really well. I fully anticipate the same thing tomorrow. Dave's going to come over here and hang out with us. So it's going to be awesome. So if I could, I want to put something out there. All of you that watched the Absolute1776 and Stormy Patriot Joe version of Rambo and Frens last week, hit the thumb enough that it put us on the leaderboard. This show, for the first time in just 4 months, this platform, this Rambo and Frens platform, it's literally only 4 months old. And because you guys all hit the thumb, we hit the leaderboard for the first time on Rumble. And for that, I am eternally grateful to these guys as guests. And I think that you guys are all amazing for putting us up there. So I'm going to hopefully ask the same thing. It would be really cool if we could repeat that. So if you could hit that positive affirmation button on whatever platform you're on. The Rumble thing is really important, but if you're over on YouTube, hit the thumbs up. If you're over on X, same thing, drop a comment, share the show out. And pill.net, of course, I absolutely love you guys. Take that red pill and share the show. Let people know that we're out here doing this thing. So thank you very much. Now, with that being said, Stormy Patriot Joe's having a little bit of technical difficulties, but hopefully we get him on here because I want to hear his take on what it is we're going to start this show off with. But here we go. Let's hear from the boss, and then we'll get this thing started.
I wouldn't miss a chance to talk to my friends. These are my friends.
Abs, what's up, buddy?
Might want to unmute. What's up, my friend? How you doing?
I'm doing great, dude. I cannot freaking wait to come hang out with you guys on Tuesday night.
Oh, man, that's going to be so much fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I got all kinds of 9/11 stuff lined up we're going to have a look at, and I'm sure we're going to bounce it off some drops and have some fun, man.
Yeah, we got to talk a little bit before that happens because I don't know how much you want me to bring. Should I just be present and are we going to do any type of interview type stuff, or should I bring some things to add to it? Like I'm like literally anxious. It's going to be a blast. I'm excited, but
so generally speaking, I don't think that far ahead because I'll confuse the shit out of myself. I'm sure at some point over the weekend we'll bang heads and get together on exactly what the format's going to be for the show and how we're going to do it. I don't know that we're going to lean toward a usual uh, interview kind of format like we do when we have guests on, because a lot we've had friends of Q that have been guests and they've hung out for a little bit, and then we've had other folks that wanted to stay away from Q, so we just strictly interviewed them and they got onto the show. But you're such a Q guy, it might just be a kind of having you along for the ride for the show kind of thing, and then dive into some 9/11 stuff and 9/11 tribute stuff, and you know, false flag as that may have been, plenty of people died, so we always like to pay respects to them over on Eye of the Storm when 9/11 comes around. So I'm sure we'll take part in some of that too, man. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, for sure. Well, while we're waiting for Joe, I'm not going to hold it up. He'll jump right in. The dude's brilliant. So, the first thing I wanted to do was touch on basically the fact that you guys predicted. you do realize you future told 2 nights ago, right?
A little bit, and it was so crazy because it was one of those things that we threw in the last minute. Like that wasn't really even planned to go on the show, and then as the show was going on, more stuff kind of kept popping from it, and Joe had sent me a couple texts and was like, we should definitely dig on this at the end of the show. And I was like, absolutely, because there have been times where he's kind of had these feelings on things, and it's happened a couple times with me, more often with him, but like we'll kind of push it off the cutting room floor and not get to it on the show. And then the next day some shit breaks and we're like, man, why didn't we show that on the show? So we did that Tuesday night, and it was, out of nowhere, Laura and Eric are posting about these accounts being hacked and people needing to stay vigilant. And it was banging off the Q drops, talking about staying vigilant. And then lo and behold, the very next day, we wake up to another false flag, deep state mass shooting at another school. And of course, it's in a swing state. And of course, they immediately come out attacking guns and ARs and just the whole nine. It was exactly what we saw after Parkland that Q pointed towards. And, I think it's probably one of the few means of power these folks have left is to go take a little MK Ultra puppet, go have them shoot something up, and then try to use it to their advantage. And I think we've just seen all the hallmarks with this one already. It didn't take long, man. I mean, the kid's name is Colt. I'm sure that's a coincidence, right? One of the most famous arms manufacturers in American history. This kid's name just happens to be Colt.
And even the gray part is intriguing. And not only that, but so this one only solidified the last one, which solidified the one before it, which solidified the one prior to that. Look, you can go all the way back to Columbine. You can go to Sandy Hook. You can look at all these school shootings. And when you start to see that the Q drops literally told us what we saw in all of those events, this one is just, in my opinion, it sucks that look, well, false flag doesn't mean fake. False flag does not mean fake. A lot of times people die, and a lot of times it's not good guys that did a false flag. And I personally, for this one right now, where I'm at with the whole thing is it was done not okay. So Dave played this on his show last night, and I love Dave. I can't wait to talk to him tomorrow. And I think at the end, and they did it very raw, right? They didn't get time to think about it. But they talked about how they thought it might be a white hat operation, and I don't necessarily agree with that. Although I respectfully, I respect their opinions. I think what happened was, especially the way you guys presented your future telling the night before, it seems to me that we're looking at some major type of D class coming down the lane. Abs. Yeah. And what happened was an attempt to distract or stop the news, just like the drop said. And so I think that Hannity and Trump even kind of emphasized that last night. So I love that Dave did that last night on the show. That's why I sent it to him privately so he could, because I love that dude. And I can't wait to talk to him about it tomorrow. But maybe we'll go through it and give everybody the opportunity to use their own discernment on the whole thing. So you guys, do you want me to just play your clip from the show?
Yeah, we can do that, man. As we roll into it, a lot of stuff will kind of start connecting, I think, especially with your finds from the Hannity town hall. And I think it's the kind of thing to me where I look at it from 40,000 feet and I surmise that it's very possible white hats had gotten kind of low jacked. We know we're tracking these people and we can drop in on them. We probably got comms that there was going to be one, and hence the Stay Vigilant stuff started coming out, and those comms started hitting. Then after the fact, I firmly believe they dropped comms into that Hannity thing for us to go look at the board and confirm what happened yesterday, that it was another one of these deep state playbooks, false flags to divert attention before something is about to drop. And so you have to wonder what's coming down the pipe for them, man. Something has to be about to drop for them to be freaking out like this. It's the only thing that makes sense to me, man.
My favorite part, I'm going to say this before we play the clip. My favorite part about this one specifically was that I got to feel like part of a team. That's just the truth, right? I try to be completely genuine. Dude, you guys predicted it. Then it happened. Then we find. Go ahead. Go.
To be fair, dude, like there's some of these I do think are fake and total shows. Now, I try to kind of stay away from saying which ones I think are, because I don't feel like having my ass sued into oblivion by a bunch of butthurt families that got found out. But that said, there are certain things that I think were fake. I don't think this was one of those. You remember the Buffalo supermarket supermarket shooting a couple years ago? A lot of people were coming out saying that was fake too, and then you see the video of it and you're like, that wasn't fake. That was actually a dude that was very well trained to go around and mow people over, which leans more into the MK Ultra angle, that these are little MK Ultra puppets. And so this one, I've already seen some videos from it. It's not screaming as fake to me. It's screaming as a little MK Ultra puppet that grabbed a gun and went in there and did what he was told to do. If you've ever seen the movie The Manchurian Candidate, it's basically that. Mix that with a little bit of Clockwork Orange and ta-da, MK Ultra puppet.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll say it. I don't even give a crap about Alex Jones. I've read the drop, so I don't have a whole lot of love for that dude. But Sandy Hook was fake. Sorry, that's how I feel. I don't care. Sue me. I don't got nothing to take. So good luck getting my money. There isn't much there. But right. Sandy Hook was a different story to me, and I lived through. I was the same age as the Sandy Hook kids. Literally had a. There he is. Stormy Patriot Joe.
What's going on?
Hey. No, I agree with you on that one, by the way. We're just going to buy all your houses and bulldoze the effing school after the fact. And there were so many anomalies with that one that were just like, come on, man.
Did you ever see the Sandy Hook stuff? The dummy in the grass one?
Yeah, and the one girl that was given an interview that had conveniently given an interview at like every major false flag over the previous 5 years.
No. I said the wrong thing. Sandy Hook's easy one, right? We can all destroy that. I meant to say the one I lived through. Damn it, I just said it. The one Eminem rapped about with the two kids in trench coats back in the 90s.
Oh, Columbine. Yeah, Columbine.
Did you ever see the clips on Columbine where they used the dummies pulled out by the firemen? It's a really, really. Have you ever seen that one, Joe?
No,
I don't think I've seen that one. No.
Man. While I play your guys' clip, I'm going to pull something for you. I got to show you something. It goes so far back, these examples, that it's ridiculous. Columbine was basically believed by 100% of the population, similar to 9/11, at least for the very first beginning of it. The population of the United States took it as truth because we were told it was true, and we took it that way, and it led us around by our emotions. There's a part of that Columbine incident that will blow your mind. I gotta show you guys. Well, maybe we'll do it at the end, but at some point here, I'll figure out how to pull it up. Let's get into the one that just happened. So, Joe, I was preempting them with basically the fact that you guys predicted something like this would happen. So I was just going to play your clip and then we'll get into it. Cool.
Very cool. The first one I think I sent. All right, you put it together like that. All right. So Eric Trump had put out, look out, there's a scam that Laura Trump and Tiffany Trump's profiles have been hacked, compromised, whatever. Okay. But underneath was showing what she was allegedly tweeting out, or like whoever hacked her was tweeting out. Okay. And it leads to this crypto account that the Trump administration has been pushing. Okay. But then they're saying, like, hey, somebody put this with an unsafe link, be safe and beware. But then, like, that account has tweeted out and also put on their Telegram page, they did both, that alert, Laura and Tiffany's Trump X on Twitter accounts have been hacked. Don't click on any of the links or purchase any of the tokens shared from their profiles. We're actively working to fix this, but here's the key. Please stay vigilant, okay, and avoid scams. But the key words that really jumped out to me was stay vigilant. I'm going to tell you, I don't believe this was a hack. I believe this was all set up because it hits the keyboard. We're going to show you how. I had Rev DQ grab it. So over on the left is what was tweeted, which I just read from their Telegram page, but this was the actual tweet from that. So that World Liberty account is a recent account. Trump started by linking to it on Truth, and first linked to the Telegram page that we read, but then also they set up this Twitter account, just giving you a reference of what this account is about. Okay, so they tweeted out the same paragraph that they put on their Telegram page, but there it is on their Twitter account. But the key phrase is stay vigilant. So lo and behold, what do we have on a Delta today? Rev DQ found this. Q2071, again, September 3rd, Delta. What is a common theme when bad news is about to break against them? Stay vigilant. So that's why I think this wasn't a hack, that this was all put in place for us to follow these comms. So we have this like mysterious, two of the Trumps were hacked today. And it happens to be about, this account that Trump just put into our sphere. And then that account happens to tweet out, stay vigilant. That happens to be an exact Q Delta of today. So I think stay vigilant that something weird is about to break in the news here between now and probably the debate. So
Whoa. Stormy Patriot Nostradamus.
12 hours later.
Joe, how did you do that, dude?
So, it didn't make sense from the get-go. So, we get this warning from Eric that these two separate accounts were simultaneously hacked, two Trump daughters simultaneously hacked in different areas, all at the same exact time with the exact messaging and everything. And I was like, that doesn't pass the smell test. There's something else. And so we, I have the store and we share things internally and we try to figure things out. So we put the Eric Trump tweet in our storm chat for us to figure it out. And then, I started, because at first when Eric first shared it, it was like, the deleted tweet. So you couldn't see what was shared. And then I looked into his feed and I saw somebody screen capped that it was from that original, that account that I'm pointing to, that World Liberty account. So I put that in the chat and I said, okay, so there's something more here. It's not just that they were hacked. They were supposedly had this World Liberty account. So I said, let's see what they say next. And then sure enough, they say, stay vigilant. When you read it, it didn't even make sense, because, they already deleted, her post and everything. So it was like, what is this stay vigilant about? And like Kim and Shannon were in the chat and they're like, oh, we don't have to worry. We don't do crypto. I said, no, it has nothing to do with crypto. I'm like, pull up the stay vigilant cues. It has to do with, an event coming. And then when Rev DQ found the Delta, now we're doing all this while we're doing Eye of the Storm live and Abs and I and everything. We're trying to fire these things into chat to each other, but we knew it was something hot. And so then when Rev found the Delta of the Stay Vigilant connection, I was like, bingo, there we go. This is what we were thinking, that it was much more than, something about a hack with the Trump daughters. I never bought that. But when the Delta came through with the key phrase, stay vigilant. So, if you're really well read in the Q drops, that is a signature phrase, stay vigilant, and it has to do with these event type shootings. And they want to shift the news cycle or deter the news cycle, one or the other. So when Paul and I were signing off on the show, we had it all connected up. And we're like, we're chatting by text, and we're like, should we try to just, end the show, or should we, try to take this dig to Friday? And we're like, no, we've done that in the past, and the news would break in the next news cycle. So Paul was like, no, let's hit it live. So Paul had it pulled up, and we ran through it live, and yeah, sure enough, like Paul just said, 12 hours later, the news hits. So
unbelievable. Paul, do you want to chime in?
No, it's just I've been witness to the Stormy since more times than I can remember, and it's legit. And when the first, he was right. In the beginning of the show, I said that he, when we started that episode of Eye of the Storm, Joe had shot me some texts and was like, "Hey, we should keep an eye on this moving forward into this episode. We might want to touch upon this." And I agreed with him, because it was just so weird to me that these two accounts at the same damn time are going to talk about being hacked, and both of them are going to talk about staying vigilant, and then it bangs off a Q drop the same day talking about staying vigilant. There was absolutely something there, and Joe was right to get that on the show and talk about it, because it's, look what happened. It's the Stormy sense is real, man. I've seen it enough times to confirm.
Okay, so this is where I want to add some things to it, right? So I've had time to think and pray on this, and what you guys dug up very last minute on your show. I watched it. I actually watched it on my way home from work that morning, because I got pulled away from the show live a few times. So I tried to make sure I catch up on the shows I love, which is obviously your guys' show. So I watched it on the way home, but I didn't quite pick up on the whole thing, because I'm taking phone calls. I'm driving home. I'm decompressing from a 12-hour shift of burning trash, which is mind numbing to begin with. And so when I started posting the things that I was finding today, and Joe was like, yo, we kind of predicted it, I had to go back and watch, and it blew my mind. So I started praying on it and meditating, which is what I do. I started to think about it, because I don't ever want to come out here and be like, nobody died. White hats did. That's a first of all, very unpopular every time you ever do it. And second of all, it's not always true. So I went back and I watched your guys decode, and the way that I interpreted what you guys put out there was that there's potentially something harmful that's going to be declassed for the deep state, harmful towards the deep state. And so if you comprehend the fact that it would be military intelligence that's giving us these comms, then it would be realistic to think that they would know patterns. And so every time something like this that would threaten them, and I don't know that we know what this is yet, but some sort of something that would threaten them, that this would be the type of distraction they would put out, similar to what the drop said, so that either no one saw that it came out, or would stop it altogether. Is that kind of what you guys agree with?
Yeah. So, like, to eat up a 24 news cycle, everybody rushes to school shootings. That's going to totally eat up a 24 48 hour news cycle. So that's what Q referenced. And anytime news is about to break against them, they would orchestrate one of these events to clam it up, or even push it off entirely, that type of thing, deter them for even releasing it. So we don't know what was coming as far as a release like that. Is it just the fact that he's leading in the polls? Is it the fact that we had Hunter today on trial? Who knows? Those are all things that Paul and I are really just going to show the comms and let people kind of decide what it all means. What I say to Paul is the comms are unemotional. They have no feelings. They don't have like a real political slant. They're just comms. Okay. So we show what the comms are, and then it's really up to, everybody else to take their own visual of what those comms mean, and make their own decisions from there. I try not to say, oh, this means X,
Yeah. Okay. So then I was actually asleep when it happened, but the actual shooting that we think may have been tied to this comm that you guys got happens.
Right.
2 students, 2 teachers, according to the news, have been killed through a school shooting. Well, we find out later in the day, you want to start to recognize some sort of pattern recognition. We've been through this now a few times. And when we hear things like U.S. school shooting suspect 14 was questioned about threats last year and the FBI was involved, this starts to get real interesting.
Yep.
Go ahead, Joe. Did you want to chime in?
So as you'll go throughout the connections here, Q gave us this pattern, that intelligence have connections to these guys, that the parents have different things, that they typically have therapists, that they are a certain of age, and those types of things. So it's already starting to fill out the profile that Q gave us.
Abs, do you want to say anything on this yet?
Yeah, no, basically that's Joe nailed it. It fits the profile that Q gives us on this stuff, on how these people work and the kind of attacks they use to try to change narratives, try to take away from the news cycle, and try to take away from news that's about to break on them. It's what they do every time.
So I listened to your guys' show on the way home. I didn't grasp everything you were saying because I was distracted. I go to sleep and I wake up to a school shooting well into the afternoon. I didn't have time to go through all of it. I run to work, right? And at work, I accomplish so much, and I typically have a lot of time. We run a boiler, so if the boiler's running well, I don't have a whole lot of work to do. That's why you guys will see a lot of my work done from work. And then Hannity has this town hall with Donald Trump.
There's a lot of things to cover in between those. So we can either do them in order, or we can jump all around if you want.
No. Please, by all means.
Okay. So here's how it went with the Eye of the Storm team. Was we said the Stay Vigilant part, and then the news breaks. Okay. And just like you're doing, we're like, was this the Stay Vigilant Q that we were trying to look for? What is this? And to this moment right now, as we sit, we're not like really sure. Okay. We're still kind of unpacking it. Okay. But so what we said internally was 2 things. We said, well, let's watch for the first Donald Trump truth that comes out regarding the shooting and see if it hits the Q board. And that's the one that you should pull up next. And then secondly, we said internally, let's watch what happens on the Hannity town hall for further clues. So that's what the Eye of the Storm team was internally looking forward after the news breaks, those 2 things. So the first one is Donald Trump's truth. Okay, and it does smack off the board, and I sent that video to you.
Is that this one? Hold on, let me make sure I have it right, Joe. That's this
today. So Donald Trump. Yeah.
Am I in the right spot?
Yes, sir. Okay, I think I just found some more clues from the shooting today. So Donald Trump on his Truth Social is talking about the shooting, okay? And he posted at 3:54 p.m. You go to Q 1415, timestamp ends in 3:54, okay? But the important thing of this Q 1415, is talking about on May 19th that we had some sort of release that was coming. So when Q talks about the deep state using false flags, it's to eat up that day's news cycle, okay? So we had something big coming with the FBI and the DOJ and all this type of stuff with the Senate Judiciary Committee, okay? And Q said they thought the news was coming yesterday, okay? They were wrong. So what happened?
Whoa.
So Q posted this May 19th, 2018. So what happened on May 18th, 2018? Okay. Well, Texas school shooting in Santa Fe. Okay. So the connections here is Donald Trump talking about the shooting at 3:54 time connects to 1415, ending in timestamp 354. That cue is specifically talking about that they had something bad against the deep state that was coming out, and the deep state was going to use a school shooting, to eat up that day's news cycle. But they were wrong, and they pumped it out the day before. They thought it was coming. So they had this event on May 18th, 2018. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So then we were like, okay, so that's like another kind of piece of the puzzle. Let's set that aside. And then we said internally, let's see what happens on the Hannity town hall. And before we get to the Hannity town hall, Jesse was just before the town hall, and Jesse gives us another clue. So if you got the video with Jesse Waters and the cue drops that I linked to Jesse.
All right, hold on, because right now I'm on your thread. Let me go back. So you went from.
So yeah, it's like 5 or 6 in there, right before yours. So I put you at like 7 or 8.
Oh, so I'm in the
6 or so.
So you went from that video to the guns are safe with what's her face, Mop.
Oh yeah. If you want to talk about that, so that's another thing. So now immediately the press secretary, before like we'd have any information, she's running a presser talking about gun control. You can play that if you like.
Yeah, I mean they politicized it almost immediately.
We continue to call on Congress to do something. We need universal background checks. We need ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, require safe storage of firearms, invest in violence prevention programs, and pass a national red flag law. Enough.
No, we don't.
And I cannot say this enough, which is enough is enough. We cannot allow this to happen in our communities.
She just went full Kamala.
Yeah.
That was an enough word salad right there.
So the reason why I put the guns are safe cue up, and I just quoted it, I didn't put the cue up on it, but the reference to that was Parkland. Okay. So, Parkland happens, and you can think about, what did or didn't happen with Parkland, but there was the same type of outrage from the left and press conferences and different stuff like that. And Q said, don't get fooled. Actors got to act. Guns are safe in reference to Parkland. So it's the same exact pattern here. We have in a school event, we have the left freaking out, yelling about gun control, long guns, all this stuff. And then Q said, settle down, guns are safe, don't get fooled by fake news.
I love that one of your references was Enoch.
Yeah.
I'm going to show that one quick.
Yep.
So Enoch said, stay it with me now. The shooter was known by the FBI. So if we pull this up, FBI Atlanta responded earlier today. Appalachia High School following reports of an active shooter. Throughout the day, FBI personnel have been coordinating with and supporting local and state law enforcement. The FBI dedicated all available resources as requested to seek justice and bring closure to the victims and their families. In May 2023, the FBI's National Threat Operations Center received several anonymous tips about online threats to commit a school shooting at an unidentified location at the time. The online threats contained photographs of guns. Within 24 hours, the FBI determined the online post originated in Georgia, and the FBI's Atlanta field office referred the information to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. I don't have to keep going, but this is all in reference to this young man named Colt Gray, who was then at the time 13 years old.
All right, key number 13. Crazy. That's also another clue, is the 13. So, like I just normally talk a lot about the, Q is 17, and we're all in tune to like recognizing the 17s, okay? And whether it's the deep state putting 13 into the comms or us giving a middle finger back to the deep state, I kind of go both ways with that part of it. But the kid was 13, okay? And what did we have with, last I knew, with the update with the shooting was 4 dead, 9 injured. What's that equal? 13. So you got these 13s that kind of getting injected into it. All right. So yeah, you've done the background that the school got. Did we touch on the school got a call that morning? Do you touch that on that one? Right?
I did not. No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I don't know if that was next in my list that I sent you, but so the school was put on warning as well. The CNN had that report.
FBI. So I have Jesse up next.
Yeah,
Yes.
we just go to that.
Abs, feel free to jump in at any point, buddy.
Fox News alert, a major update in the tragic school shooting that left 4 dead in Georgia today. FBI agents had this shooter on their radar for more than a year. Correspondent Christina Coleman is here with the latest.
The hell you say? No way.
That's right. The FBI and the Jackson County Sheriff's Office released a joint statement that confirms that the 14-year-old accused of shooting and killing 4 people today at Appalachian High School had been on their radar before. They say he was 13 years old back in May of 2023 when the FBI's National Threat Operations Center received several anonymous tips about online threats to commit a school shooting at an unidentified location and time. They say the online threats contained photographs of guns and that within 24 hours, the FBI determined the online post originated in Georgia, and the FBI's Atlanta field office referred that information to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office for further action. And the Jackson County Sheriff's Office located a 13-year-old. They interviewed both him and his father. The father stated he had hunting guns in the house, but that his son did not have unsupervised access to them. Authorities say the teenager denied making the threats online. And the Jackson County, they alerted local schools for continued monitoring of the suspect, that 13-year-old. Well, authorities say that teenager who was 13 years ago when he was notified, or the FBI was notified of possible threats made by him, that teenager is now 14 years old. He is in custody and he is accused of shooting and killing 2 students and 2 teachers today. Authorities say he is going to be charged with murder and tried as an adult. Jesse?
All right, Christina, what a tragedy. Thank you so much.
So can I ask you guys a question? I'd love you both to answer this. It's not very often that we have a school shooter that survives. And it does look as if there's a possibility that there's some 3-letter agencies that are being exposed right now. D-class, whatever you want to call it. Is it possible that this 14-year-old might have something to do? Look, no one ever talks after this because they get turned into Swiss cheese. This one did not. And now he's being tried as an adult. So if he's being tried as an adult, then his testimony must be taken as an adult.
It's funny you brought up exposure because that's exactly where I was going to go with another connection I had made last night. And let's first look at drop the thing he's covering it up. 431, sorry. Q says, we are moving fast. Remember, not all within the CIA, DOJ, and FBI are bad apples. House cleaning, top. Restructuring, 1 to 2. Operations, 24/7. Speed. Speed is what drew my attention to that. And it drew my attention to it because the school where the shooting took place yesterday, Appalachian High School, their team logo and mascot, let me pull this up real quick, is the Wildcat. They're the Appalachian High School Wildcats. Annie's nickname in Speed, the bus driver, was Wildcat. So there's a connection there to be made, and it bangs off the Q drop talking about exposure and restructuring and mentioning specifically that not all within the FBI, DOJ, and CIA are bad. And that seems relevant right now because obviously the FBI ignored this shit again. So how else would you expose their utter failure with all of this stuff other than for it to keep happening and them continue to be outed for it every time they do it?
Joe, you got thoughts?
I was just gonna say, like, if you show the rest of the cues that I put with that Jesse post, so we're talking about on the bottom there about the background. So we're gonna start looking into the background and the kid's father. We're gonna watch the news and see what comes out. He's supposedly a hunter or something, the father. So we'll have to find out more about that. Now, what's the next cue I attached in there? All right. So we'll see if there's further connections to, does the kid have a therapist? Is he on, any kind of medications? This type of thing. All right. The FBI, right there. Next one. Look at this one that I attached before the Hannity interview that you're going to get to. Look at the cue I attached. Okay. So in other words,
bro, it's 1629 and 1630.
I'm sitting there waiting for it. So I the Storm chat, like I told you, right when the news broke, let's see what Trump's truth says, and then let's see what happens on the Hannity show with the town hall with Trump. So we got the Trump truth about the shooter, and it banged off of the Texas shooting way back in the day in 2018. I'm linking this up with Jesse's take about the kid, and if you listen to that, they said 13 like 3 times, but also the whole kind of like what we're talking about, the profile of the kid. That's what this one is all about. And there was probably even some Freemasonry in these interviews with these kids in the police badges and different things. I haven't had time to really do it to find, but a lot of the police badges and different things have Freemason references to them. And I did see a couple interviews, but I'm sure there's more symbolism. So that Jesse was right before Hannity came on. So I posted that Q post, basically sitting here, turning on Hannity and saying, let's see what hits. And then Hannity said it, and you grabbed it and you posted it. And I was like, you got it. So I knew we were coming on and talk about it. So I figured we'd just jump in here. But so why don't you tell us what you found with 1629 and 1630?
So here's what happened. All of that, everything you did happened while I was asleep.
Right.
I legitimately had no clue you guys did that. When I got to work, I was like, all right, Trump's going on with Hannity, town hall. Let me make sure I get my work here done, and I'll jump on and I'll watch that. And all I knew was that my coworker told me there was a shooting this morning at a school. And I went, oh, right. I'll bet there's Mason symbols and everything else, right? Because I've read the drops. And that was all I had. And so I turn on Hannity and I'm watching, and he did the really cool one, I think, that you picked up on, where he said 17, what was it? 5 times or something in 45 seconds.
We'll get to that too.
So I saw that, but then I picked up on the way that Hannity, let me also say this. I'm going to preempt it so that no one discredits what's about to happen, although I don't think you can with everything these guys have presented so far. I looked at the Kamala interview, and I looked into it, and it turns out that it was actually a 44-minute interview that they whittled down to 16 minutes and 44 seconds on 2 parts on YouTube. So if you add the 2 parts together, it's 16 minutes and 44 seconds. So the numbers that Hannity uses are not even accurate to try to discredit with the actual Kamala interview.
Right.
So let me see here. I'm talking too much instead of getting to the point.
No, it's good background, because we looked at that too, even before that, because we were trying to see if it would land right on 17 minutes. So we were looking at the running time of the interview, and we saw that it was 16:44 at the time she said it. And when we go through a few more of these things, we're going to get back to that interview. I got something else to weave in there afterwards.
Okay, cool. So here is the original clip that I saw, and I was watching it on Badlands, and I left you guys watermark on there on purpose because I absolutely love the channel that you guys are on. This was the first clip I saw where I was like, that was weird.
For your particular, for the Commonwealth, you have no choice,
if I may,
but to allow it.
16 minutes and 30 seconds are up. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.
The president has spoken for a total of 16 minutes and 30 seconds.
I'll say.
So he repeats it. He says it twice. And I got the dig right away. I knew that it was aimed at Kamala's very short, only single interview. However, I was like, that was just odd. So I instantly went to the drops because that just seemed too obvious to me. And I came up with the same thing you did. I'm like, 1830, you got to be kidding me. I was just told by my coworker there was a school shooting this morning. And the thing that I instantly thought in my head is what the drops are telling us. And I'm like, there's no way. That's crazy. So I posted it quick, and then I keep watching.
Radical beliefs on the economy.
And then Hannity says this. Can I ask you guys before we play this next one? Hannity has been mentioned a whole pile of times in the drops. Do you think that it's unheard of to think that he would be part of a comm?
Oh, he has been all the time. We've covered 100 of them.
Yeah, you mean a best friend of President Trump's for over 30 years at this point? You mean somebody that the Q boards called out as a patriot, somebody that Trump said was a patriot in his own book? Yeah, I'm pretty sure the dude's been used as a mouthpiece a few times.
So one time on Hannity, it was right after the follow the pen cues. Hannity's on there and he's twizzling his pen and he drops it like in a really kind of purposeful way like that. And Anon asked Q and said, wait a minute, you just posted about follow the pen. And then Hannity fumbled and dropped his pen in a really purposeful way. Was that like a signal to the board? And Q confirmed it. So there's your answer right there from Q. Not from me, from Q.
Well, that was a baited question, and I expected most of that except for that last part. That was new to me. Thank you. All right. So then I'm continuing to watch along again without all of that foreknowledge that you guys just gave us. And I hear the second part.
Radical beliefs on the economy, in her own words, according to Kamala, her values have not changed. We don't know where she stands because she's only done an interview for 16 minutes and 29 seconds spoken. So on the issue of the economy.
And so I went, well, that's crazy because 1629 is embedded in 1630.
Right.
And neither of which are the time that Kamala Harris's interview was.
Exactly.
Bro, that's crazy to me. That was when I found that last night. I'm like, oh, I gotta tell somebody. I can't hold on to this. And that's why Dave was on live. I'm like, yo, Dave, you gotta see this. I texted and interrupted his whole show. I'm like, yo, please look at my text message. And then they played it at the end of their show. So then to find out everything you guys did, it's awesome to just feel like part of a team. That was really cool to me. And for all this to go down. So what do you guys think is what's the ultimate lesson here?
There's more that we got to piece together.
Okay.
So do you have my video of Trump saying 17 5 times in that Hannity interview?
I do.
All right.
Give me a second.
Play that.
Bear with me. I gotta go through all these freaking channels I got. Oh, I really want to play that one too. That's not it. I'm gonna have to go to your page, Joe. Bear with us, guys. I got a lot all over the place here. How far up did you post it, Stormy?
It was last night, so it's down a little bit.
I'm sure I got it here somewhere. Bear with me. I'm almost there, guys. I know I'm almost there. Here it is. All right, here we go. Let's start this fresh and go.
Moderate the debate.
ABC is the worst network in terms of fairness. They had a poll where I was 17 points down a couple of days prior to the election. I was 17 points down in Wisconsin. And they do that so people don't vote because, hey, I love Trump, but he's 17 points out. I'm not going to go out and vote. I was 17 points down and I won. And I called the best pollster. I said, why wouldn't they say 5 or 4 or 3? Because at 3, you go and vote. At 17, your people say, I want to vote, but, I'm busy. I have other things to do. Let's go see a movie and we'll watch the results later. They are the most dishonest network, the meanest, the nastiest, but that was what I was presented with. I was presented with ABC, George Slopadopoulos, you know, and he's a nasty guy. And yet, he's a nasty guy. I've had him up to here. Let me tell you, he's a very, very kind of a guy. When I watched his interview of Joe Biden, it was like the softest interview I've ever seen.
All right. So no coincidence. During that town hall that everybody's watching, Trump says 17 5 times within 45 seconds. Okay. But here's the bigger clue. And I just sent it to your Twitter, so it would be on top, so you grab it. So we're gonna go through this, but we have all the comms within this town hall that we just talked about, and Rambo is talking about a lot of them connect back to what? To Harris's only interview. She's only done one interview. Trump has done like 35, 36, 37 interviews. Harris has only done one interview, and that's the one that Rambo is talking about, the timestamps of. It was really 1644, and Hannity is connecting it with 1629 and 1630. What did Kamala say in her interview? Go to the video in the last tweet I put into your Twitter DM.
Is the reality of it, and 4 years of being vice president, I'll tell you, one of the aspects to your point is traveling the country extensively. I mean, I'm here in Georgia. I think somebody told me 17 times since I've been vice president in Georgia alone. I believe it is important to build.
Oh my God, so funny.
But you might be missing the even bigger thing that she said there. Obviously, the 17 was the big signal, but what else did she say? Where was she?
Do I need to play it again? I missed it.
Georgia.
Oh, Georgia.
On her mind.
Okay, so you know what's funny? I didn't connect this.
You get it. You get it. Where was the shooting?
In Georgia, right?
Okay. So
this isn't the first time she's done this. Do you remember the interview she did walking?
She sat there and stood on that 17, just like Trump has about when he goes to Washington, D.C. I might have gone 17 times before I became president. That was a big, big clue. And she says, in Georgia, okay? And then you just put everything else you just put together. Where was the shooting? In Georgia. What did Trump say on that stage? 5 times, 17. What did you connect? You connected Q's 1629 and 1630 from that same interview. That's that same interview where she said 17 and Georgia.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Okay, so I can't get to this point, and when I say Patriots are in full control, and people are like, it can't be possible, and I'm like, you're not paying attention.
Bigger than you can imagine. Even more, what I say privately in our group is, I say it more than anybody probably, and it's even bigger than I talk about. It's because then I see like the next thing, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think like that. But yeah, it's bigger and more massive than we can possibly imagine.
So what are you thinking, dude?
Yeah, I think the same. I think this stuff is on target as some of us may be. I still think it's bigger than we can imagine, and I still think there's a lot of stuff we've probably missed that would just be wow, completely mind blowing. I think it honestly sits me on my ass many times to try to think of logistics involved in all of this, and taking so much power away from them, as it were. I mean, to my mind at this point, we're seeing an exposure operation now. We're seeing all of it being rolled out and put on Front Street, so it's all readily apparent what their plans were and what they want for society and humanity as a whole. And once you expose stuff at that level, there's only one way it's going to go. And I can't help but fully believe that a big reason for that exposure was obviously the Q operation, and then what Trump did while he was in office, and everything since. I try to debunk this stuff to keep myself honest as we go along, and I can't really debunk it, man. It's It's mind blowing, and I truly do believe Patriots are in control. I think that there's some things that their side can still do, but I really don't think they have the power to will themselves to a win in this scenario. I don't think they have the power to do 9/11 style stuff anymore. I just don't. If I'm naive in that, so be it. But I don't believe it. I don't believe they have that power anymore, dude.
I got to be honest, and I'm okay with either one of you slapping me on the wrist and telling me to shut up if you want. But I feel as if, look, the drops told us DC, they have full control. The public is where the war's at. The war's within our minds. It's literally they're being tried in public opinion, right? So they're being tried with society, and we're tipping the scales. It's blatantly obvious. I just saw a poll done by a neutral polling, whatever the hell it is, page on Twitter, where Trump's up 80 points. It's 80% to 13, so up whatever it was, 60 some points. It seems to me that that's the most realistic poll there could be. Everybody wants to click it because you want to see the results, both sides. So I'm of the mindset that as far as DC and the show that we are watching, the moves and counter moves at this point are both being done by the good guys. There's no way that what we're watching doesn't include full information control. It's exactly what you said, an exposure operation to deprogram the bullshit mind control that they put over this country. All the lies that were hidden in darkness are being brought to light in a way that we can digest it and motivate us to take back our country. We just listened to Kash Patel talk about that it would take more than one more term of Donald Trump. This is going to take multiple terms. Well, we're in the middle of a process that's waking up the country, the silent majority, the Rambos, the ones that just want to be left alone, so that we can take back our country as a whole. I think the war is in society, but I think that the DC level of federal government that we're watching, that is the show, is one I can't think it's anything but 117% controlled by the Patriots.
Yeah, it's one of two options with those fools. Either A, 117% full control by the Patriots, or B, they've been game theoried to such a point that the only moves they can make destroy themselves. Either way, it's full control, right? Either if you've gamed your opponent into making a mistake with every move they make, well, that's full control too. It's one of those two things. Either way, it points toward that side's being controlled, in my opinion.
Go ahead, Joe. I see you biting your lip.
No, I'm on the same page. I came to that conclusion probably in like 2018, and actually when I came to that conclusion was when we exited McCain publicly, and I just wrote a Substack that goes through the McCain exit, and it kind of refreshed my memory about it because I had to roll through it all. But that's really where I came to the mindset of everything we're watching is Patriots in full control, and because Q said many times. So first of all, right in the very first handful of Qs, Q says we're far enough along where we can't jeopardize the mission. 2017. Okay. Back it up from there before Q, but Q confirms it. We protected the 2016 election with Obama in office. How the hell do you protect? How do you protect a presidential election with Obama in office?
Right.
Patriots full control is the only answer. Okay.
How do you?
And Q confirms it because in the Qs they said they went to Trump and said we need you to run, and Trump said, well, I'm not going to run if it's going to be just stolen, and they said no, we'll protect it, and they gave Donald Trump assurances that the election would be protected, and it was. So it goes back. The control goes prior to even the Q drops. Okay. And then you wouldn't start this disclosure mission if you weren't in the position where you had all the cards. Because like Q said, if he started giving us all these things in 2017 for both us and the deep state to read, you would jeopardize the mission. So you would only do a disclosure operation, which this is, if you already had all the cards. That's my opinion.
Yeah, man. I mean, how else do you wrestle full control of North Korea away from the puppet masters unless you have full control? How else did we see people like Weinstein and Epstein and Maxwell and those kind of folks finally get arrested and sent to prison? Yeah, it's funny how none of that happened until Donald Trump got in office. You know, when Obama was there, these people didn't go to jail. These people were actually getting those presidential medals of freedom that Obama was giving out to all of his pedo friends. That's what he was doing with these people. Trump gets in office and they all end up in jail. Trump gets in office and North Korea is no longer a puppet state of the puppet masters. It's all that stuff builds toward a picture of full control that it's really hard to argue against, because you can't have one and the other. You can't say that the deep state still has control if they don't control North Korea anymore, because they had for ages. You can't. I just think that if they were in control, man, how do any of us have voices? How are we still putting the message out there? How is the Great Awakening still being allowed to happen? You know, how is a lot of this stuff happen that we've seen? The only answer is full control.
And you mentioned a lot of times that it's what you can't see. Okay, that most of this operation is in the dark, and that's what when he showed us the McCain proof. That's when Q, and I wrote it today in my Substack, was that really stamped it for me, that because Q had said several times, arrest will come, you know, like you're saying, things have to be in order. What was the word? Optics are important. Okay, optics are important. We have to do things by the book. There has to be a process. We have to take down the top levels of the 3-letter networks. We have to do all these types of things. But there's major things. Q kept saying it. There's major things happening that you can't see. Okay. And then Q gave us a bone, if you will. See what I did there with every dog has its day? Every dog has its day. We exit a sitting president. Q gave us 30 days notice to the minute that we exited John McCain, a sitting senator. That position is not too far from the president of the United States. So, and I wrote my Substack today that's personally when I like froze. My whole body got goosebumps. I almost like passed out. Like I was just like, I was in shock because I knew what it meant, because Q gave us kind of these little clues and done in 30. So we were kind of wondering where it was going. And then when I saw the news come across, I was out having dinner and boom, John McCain passed away. And I'm like, oh my God, that's like 30 days that Q talked about it. And then I'm looking at the timestamps and shit. And like, I almost like passed out in my chair. I like had to get home and put it all together. But that right there in 2018, I believe, is where I said, wow, this is much bigger than I can possibly imagine. That if we can give you 30 days to the minute of the exit of a sitting senator, then there's really not much we can't do. And then after that, 2019 comes and I see a very, very fake looking Joe Biden. Very fake.
I love you.
And I said, right from the get-go, right when this new Biden showed up on the scene, I said, that's not Joe Biden, and watch what happens, because he's going to follow our orders and just be a train wreck for them. And that's what happened. The biggest disclosure operation, the biggest global red pill happened in these last 4 years. And yeah, you can't convince me otherwise that wasn't orchestrated by us.
And you guys have gotten to know me now pretty well in the last few months that we've been hanging out. I think Donald Trump has told us. I think you guys are so brilliant at seeing the news and unlocking the map that Q laid out for us, right? And I have watched obsessively at Donald Trump's words. So I pulled one real quick that I think is funny. That goes along, it's very surface level. To just watch Donald Trump say this, you wouldn't think anything. But to throw in all of your guys' research and then listen to Donald Trump say something like this, it means a whole lot. Check this out.
Crisis, calamity, and disaster.
that Joe Biden has created and bring safety, prosperity, and prestige back to America. And I will say, we're going to put America first, as I did just 2.5 years ago. America was first. And there's never been a period of time like it. Every day for the United States, though, is April Fool's Day. This just occurred to me yesterday. Because I see what's happening. I say, what's going on? What's happening? What's wrong? It's like April Fools, right? We have open borders when they should be closed. April Fool's Day, right? Who would want open borders with everybody just pouring in? We have prisoners and people from mental.
I just pulled the first one. He did that many times. Talked about April Fool's Day.
He would say, Joe shot. That's not the same Joe. He would flat out say that. He doesn't sound the same. He doesn't look the same.
He's got like half his head left.
He doesn't know what he is. He's following orders. Just go to the beach.
There's a cabal.
How many times did Trump say in the last like six months, Joe just needs to go to the beach? And where was he for the last 18 days? He's at the beach.
Yeah, my favorite was when he says there's a cabal. There's a cabal telling Joe what to do. I looked up the definition of cabal. There actually is no negative connotation. Cabal definition per Google, take it for what it is secret political faction. Well, a secret political faction doesn't mean good or bad. That means it could potentially be the good guys.
Yep. And the shadow presidency, Paul connected that like live one night on Night of the Storm was that cue that says shadow presidency, irregular warfare, and all these types of things. Paul was like, that sounds more like, now that we've seen everything in this last 3 years with Biden, that seems more like the pause. That seems more like that's us behind this situation, where when it was written, everybody jumped on the whole bandwagon that Obama was puppeting Biden, and that's what it meant. I never went that route myself, but Paul was the one that took it deeper with the whole shadow presidency, irregular warfare. That's really, and like Trump has even said it, and he's got a freaking hat that he wears that says 45 through 47. He's trolling, and he even said more than just the pause. He said, in some ways, this has been my second term. He has said those words publicly. In some ways, this has been my second term. Because he said,
word for word, Joe, word for word. At one point he says, "We are sort of having my second term right now. We just don't want the results of this term."
Right.
Well, he's telling the truth. We don't want the results. We don't want these.
Where it said sometimes you have to show people, then tell them. So Q told us in advance, difficult truths ahead. We have to show people versus telling them. Q is giving us a heads up of the Biden administration coming in.
Yeah. Do you want to go through either your new Substack or the one before or whatever for the second part of the show?
Whatever we can get to, we can get to that. But whatever else you got on the table there.
I was gonna play the end of this. I promised I would play that clip for the shooting I was talking about. The one that most people don't go far enough back in their research to look at. It's a long video. I'm only gonna play the last 2 or 3 minutes of it. But this is Columbine. Okay, so most people have not seen this. I did post it a while back. It got like 3 or 4 million views. So maybe some people have, but most people aren't aware that we've been looking at false flag events for a very long time. So I just want to give another example other than the one that's still probably painful for some people because potentially some people died yesterday. But here's Columbine, which again, I don't know if people died or they didn't, but this is intriguing. Check this out. Have you seen this, Paul?
I mean, I've seen the Columbine stuff, but it's been so many years since I haven't looked at it with the new set of fresh eyes on this kind of stuff.
All right, this is a long video. I'm just going to play the end here. Hopefully it captures the part I want everybody to see. Ah, shoot. Of course it's going to mess with me. Hold on. I'm going to try this again because every once in a while Twitter does that to me when I use Twitter as a... Yeah, it's going to mess with me. Screw it.
Twitter be like,
it is. It's such a mind blowing. It is a complete mind f. It's not gonna work. I'll tell you what I'll try to do. I'm gonna try to refresh and bring it up one other time here. We'll see if this works or it doesn't.
That's a booby on the screen.
Yeah, that's my American boobies I bought from China.
It is. It's an American booby. Oh no! It looks like Rambo accidentally closed out the wrong screen. I surmise he'll be back very shortly, but I promise you, he closed out the wrong screen again, didn't you?
I hit reload.
Okay.
I didn't mean to.
It happens.
It was an accident.
I'll forgive you, man. It's all right.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to try one more time because I think it's worth it if we get the payoff. Hopefully I can fast forward. So give me 1 second here. I got to reshare everything. And there we go. So let's see if it works this time. So this is Columbine, an aerial view.
One of the students that was shot that day. The only problem is that body wasn't there when the police arrived. And in fact, I'll show you where they got it from and what they did with the body, and you'll realize that it was a dummy. This footage comes from the helicopter that was there on the scene. And it's showing you the fire truck as they back it into position, get stuck in the mud, and have to reposition it a few times, causing it to create ruts in the grass. We can use that as a timeline, as a sequence of events, so we know that what came first and in what order the rest of the videos came in. This was the first video.
So this is going to be dangerous.
You didn't see this.
I'm going to try to fast forward.
They didn't in front of the truck. They'll move it to the other side of the sidewalk so they can bring the fire truck back around. Now that police car stays there on the scene. As this is one continuous shot, we can see the other teams lining up, ready to do their part of the exercise in this multi-jurisdictional drill. Over 90 agencies showed up there that day, including NATO.
One of the things that we have to do is just start telling people because we've got kids scattered all over the reports that there are kids in private homes that will cover.
As the camera pans back around, we see that the police car is still sitting in the same spot with the dummy in the back. And the police officers are prepping the body that's on the ground in front of the truck. They'll move it to the other side of the sidewalk so they can bring the fire truck back around and get ready for the next scene when they run the children out around the body and up the stairwell over to the parking lot.
Calvary Chapel, they've opened it up. It's right next to the Cooper Theater. That's Calvary Chapel Church.
Here's where they're prepping the body. Dragging it around a little bit. If you were to see this on the mainstream media shown to you that day, you would have known the truth. That this whole entire event was a drill, and it's being used by mainstream media and the anti-gun lobbyists to push agenda. That, by Homeland Security's own definition, is terrorism. Now, as we watch them run the children out, we see them running around the body the dummy that they left there alongside of the truck. But they're not done with the dummy yet, because after this, we still see the one camera shot here as it pans to the right to follow this officer. Then pans back to the left. And we see them dragging the dummy once again through the mud with the limp arm, no joints, and they leave it in the puddle.
What the hell?
Because I'm sure if that was really somebody killed, they'd just be dragging his body around like that.
It's
That is-
it's like a 15-minute
For those
video,
of
so
you
I
who still
skipped most of it. The
that's a
whole
real
thing's
person,
telling, but that part blows my mind.
just note the arm. There's no joint.
Yeah, it's let's take this
In fact,
thing and
it's a dummy.
make it. Let's shine even more light on it. Make it even worse. Let's propagandize the shit out of it, because that's what they do. So, I knew back in the day, God, we're going way back to AOL Instant Messenger days, for crying out loud. But I was friends with somebody who was online friends with one of those kids that pulled the shooting off. And she said, and looking back on it with the eyes we have now, it's super interesting, because when she was telling me about him, she would say, he was super nice and a regular kid until, and then like he hit this point where she said he just 180 flip and everything was anarchy and anarchism and taking people out and starting to talk all this shit. And it just reeks of, yep, we're going to pull off this exercise at the same time this thing happens, because, they do that too. 9/11 being another big example, but we're going to pull this exercise off while this thing is going on. And we're going to make it look so freaking bad that we'll be able to drive whatever agenda there was to it. I remember, I'd like to go back and look at the videos from Columbine from inside, because I remember back at the time when they had been released and everybody was screeching over it, watching them at the time. But I'd like to go back again and watch those as well with the new eyes before like really making a final decision on that one. But I certainly even at the time remember a pretty heavy gun control agenda arising out of that incident. So, and it's really been like clockwork since. That whole period from the mid to late 90s was one false flag after another. Oklahoma City, Waco, Columbine. It was just society getting the shit beat out of it with psyops.
Yeah, Joe, have you seen that before?
No. So like Paul, I would be interested to take a whole nother kind of look back through everything on that one.
Yeah, I can send you the whole thread. That video is actually 15 minutes worth of watching the whole thing. You should watch the whole thing. And I obviously don't take the narrator's perspective as full truth either. I think he has an agenda to expose what he believes is an agenda to take our guns. So I try to look at it, all these events, without being swayed by someone else's opinion, just using my own eyes and discernment. This is well before we had the AI infiltration that we're looking at now. So those videos are very telling for me. I did have lunch with the Columbine kids. I don't know if I said this earlier, but in school, when I was in school, we had a lot of death. It was mostly suicide. One really bad car accident where we lost 5 girls, all of which I was very, very good friends with. But because of all the trauma and it happening in such a close proximity time-wise to Columbine, we ended up through some brilliant mind of some counselors being put into a picnic with all the Columbine kids. And I don't have any like concrete evidence, just my experience and discernment, but it was really weird. It was the weirdest thing I think I've ever been through, to be honest, to kind of sit at picnic tables with a bunch of Columbine students and now being who I've turned into, to look back at it, it starts to make things make a little bit more sense, but there's still just so many question marks. It's ridiculous. I can send you guys that thread if you're interested. It's intriguing to say the least.
Yeah, you can definitely shoot it my way.
Yeah,
You guys,
it fits
you
the
guys
mold.
should've went bowling.
What was that, Joe?
You guys should have went bowling with the Columbine kids there and joined Michael Moore.
Bowling in what, Aurora? Is that where they were bowling? Where was the bowling? Colorado? Or no, wait, that was a movie theater. I'm getting my psyops mixed up.
It was Bowling for Columbine, so it was he made the movie all about what you just played there.
Oh, okay. I've never seen Bowling for Columbine. I should watch that.
Yeah, that movie rolled out shortly after Columbine, and he was highlighting how easy it is to get guns and ammunition in this country.
Oh, so it went the other way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like, no, we got to blame the guns and ammunition for all of this.
I got you. That's probably why I haven't seen it. I
Yeah.
don't typically watch things
And
I think are
how it was
propaganda.
all our fault for picking on the odd
Trench,
kids.
yeah, the trench coat kids. Yeah. All right. Well, Joe, where's do you want to pick a Substack and we'll go through it for a little while if you have
I
one?
did one today. The Q proofs are important.
I have to go to. You don't happen to have a link handy, do you?
I
got 117 things up on my screens right now. If you want to throw it in like the private chat or throw it to me in Twitter, either way. Sorry, guys, bear with us. We're doing this thing on the fly. I'll tell you what, while he's pulling that up, if I could, there's over 1,000 people in here on Rumble. I said this early on, but there wasn't nearly this many people in here. You guys put this show with Stormy Patriot Joe and Absolute1776 last week, 1 week ago today, on the Rumble leaderboard for the first time for Rambo and Frens. And it meant the absolute world to me. If you guys are enjoying this show today and you want to see the same thing happen as I'm hoping you do, please hit that positive affirmation button. Thumbs up on Rumble, thumbs up on YouTube. Same thing on Twitter and pill.net. You guys are killing it over there with the red pill. So thank you very, very much to all you guys. Did you put
Twitter.
it? There you go. I see it.
Yeah, it was good to see you on the leaderboard there, champ. That was cool, man.
Dude, I owe you guys a huge thank you. That would have never happened if the relationship we built didn't take place. So I thank you. I thank everybody from David News Treason, everybody from Eye of the Storm and Badlands. Honestly, every time I go over there, every show, Joe and Abs, every show, it doesn't matter what it is. If I stop in and say hi or whatever, the Badlanders are a different breed. I gotta be honest. They're like super loyal. They're super friendly, and they have made me feel very welcome when I go over there and hang out. So
we got to get you to South Carolina, brother. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, we're working on it. All right, so here's your Substack. Would you like to do the honors and read through, or would you like me to read it for you?
Well, I think we can kind of bounce off of back and forth a little bit. So the front end here is I'm quoting Q768, proofs are important. And then really Q778 lays out like the whole thing. The world is not how you view it. You need to trust the plan. We are winning. Okay, look how early this was. Arrests will come, just like I was quoting earlier. Logic should answer why the following must happen as the other unfolding events. But here's where he's talking about the proofs. Learn and spread. Build your proofs. We've provided many proofs that cannot be disputed as coincidences. Okay, we've done this for a reason. More will be provided. Here's a cool one. Direct confirmation will come, and it can't be now though, and because it would get lost. The message isn't ready. But you are part of an army. We are depending on you for God and country. That's why I got this thing right here. Where we go one, we go all. Stay safe this week. Okay. And then I just wrote personally. I didn't personally serve in the military, but I've taken this mission as my public service. And if you're reading this as a free sub, if you'd like to help me out, it would mean the world to me if you became a paid subscriber. God bless. And then these are the cues that I just quoted here about the proofs. And then on the next scroll, I put together a few more. Q814, we are talking directly to you. Proofs are meant for you. So what I took that to mean is not everybody has the time and the vision to build these proofs. Okay, so it was up to people that had the time and had the vision to be able to connect the dots, be able to put them in a logical way and put side by side things. And then we started doing videos, then we started doing shows, all these types of things, and Substacks, all to help share the information and help. And, the next Q 1285, the deep state is watching, but that's why we're providing you proofs. And the proof is the future will provide the past. It's really history books. Okay. So my take was deep state watches the board and they're going to try to attack the message. But if you get enough undeniable proofs under your belt, like where Paul and I and you stand at this point, people can come at us and we're just like, go F yourself. We already know you can't talk us out of what's true already. And then think about new arrivals. Okay, proofs are important. Okay. And I just posted, when I posted that 17-second video with Donald Trump saying it, it's got 400,000 views on it. And there was like 130 comments so far. And there was a lot of new eyes saying, what does he mean by 17? And why do you guys keep talking about Q? So, I provided some of these proofs and some links to our shows and different things. So it's always a flow. There's always people that are coming into the movement. Okay. And then Q 1584, we told you the proofs are going to be very important. Again, new eyes are always coming. Thank you for your service. Okay. And I said, we've been stacking the proofs and we're still stacking them to this day, and it's working. A few months ago, I put a poll up on Truth Social that just had two options: is Q legit or not? And 96% said, yeah, Q's legit. And those are just the Qs here that I quoted. Okay. And then
can I steal that, Joe? Can I do that on Twitter today and see what happens?
Sure. Keep scrolling. What did I put next? All right. So I said, I'm going to provide 5 proofs in the order in which they became proofs. They're all special to me and very powerful, but all in different ways. Okay. And so the very first one was the first one that I personally did, was the do it Q proof. And that's really where I ended up building my Twitter account and really kind of following this whole mission, was the do it Q. So it was only 11 days into the Q mission, but that really showed the coordination between Q and Trump, and also control of certain aspects of Twitter to be able to get that file name to say do it Q on it. You could I could either just talk to these. If you want to play a couple, this one's only like 2 minutes long, so you can play this one if you want.
I think it was probably the first one I personally ever did myself, because this came out on November 8th, 2017. So Q started October 28th, 2017. So we're talking about only 11 days or so into the Q drops. So there's a lot of things here. So this is an original Donald Trump a tweet at the time, and it's great that he's got his Twitter back, because now you can go back and check out these things for yourself. White hat plan, by the way. But what he wrote was, congratulations to all the deplorables and the millions of people who gave us this massive 304 to 227 electoral college landslide victory. And there's a few things to notice here about this picture, and why it's going to be probably 3 Q proofs all wrapped in one, if you will. And there's even some more Easter eggs with some of those newspapers and different things. But the first one out of the box is easy to see. I highlighted it down there. So it was on November 8th, 2017. But what timestamp did he make it? Oh, he happened to put it out there at 1:17. So Trump was already giving connections to our famous number 17 on this post. But it gets a lot more interesting as we go. So let's flip to the next slide here. So if you notice about the thumbs that everybody has got up in the air, I did a little marker and trace, but they formed the letter Q. Okay, so this whole angle with Stephen Miller and the way Trump has got it, and then the ring around the rosy with the rest of the players here, Hope Hicks and Jared and Dan and team here, John, I believe, is upper left. But when you take a look at it, I just put a marker around their thumbs, and it totally forms a Q. And the other thing is those newspapers were talking about the Saudis that were arrested. So Kushner went over to Saudi Arabia, and then all these Saudi princes ended up being arrested. And that's what Trump just happens to have there in front of him. You can kind of see a couple of the pictures and headlines. So is a big part of taking down the pyramids with with what went on in Saudi Arabia. That's kind of a side nugget to what's going on here in this thing. But the proof itself, so far, we got the 17 timestamp, and we got them all holding up their thumbs. And if you trace the thumbs, it forms a Q. But the next part of this, to make this a triple Q proof, is the most impressive. So if you're on, you'd have to go on to Trump's Twitter. And, you know, like I said, Trump's Twitter is now active, so you can do this yourself. And I think we're going to do it here live after I explain it. You have to be obviously on your, you can't do it with a phone. You have to do it on a desktop, but you click onto the picture, and then you right click on the picture to go ahead and save the picture into like one of your personal files. But when you right click on it and you go to save it, the first letters are do it Q. So the file name of the picture on Trump's Twitter, just 11 days into the Q drops, the file name is do it Q. So this blew my mind, like, because, you know, 11 days into something that's on a crazy 4chan board at the time, I'm still developing a take here. Is this real? What am I seeing here? There was some back and forth with Trump's Twitter, but this right here had me really start to like dig in and say, I think this is freaking legit. You know, I really started to form the opinion on day 11 of what I was seeing, and I think right after I think I opened up my Twitter account that day. Once I saw that come out, I think I opened up my own Twitter.
Hold on, Joe. Abs, I want to get you involved. Did you have thoughts on this whole thing? Were you there too when this all went down?
Yeah, it was pretty mind-bending, especially as you realize it. And the more it just kind of sinks in that it's real. And it's just been even more ingrained in me lately, that belief that it's all real and we're going to witness some crazy shit happen. This is one of the first ones that really, really kind of rubber stamped it. You know, it's kind of like, bang, okay, sure, that was a coincidence.
Yeah, it's so freaking cool.
Kid in his
Go
parents'
ahead,
basement.
I love the Pepe. You want to keep presenting?
The Lord's Prayer, we just redid it the other day. We don't have to play the video to it, but this one was really, really mind-blowing when it happened, because it was early on. Okay, so that's Q154, November 14th, 2017. And this, like I said when we did the Q proof, was like, you know, yeah, it's one thing to be having Dan Scavino and Donald Trump playing, you know, things with Twitter back and forth, but it's a completely different thing for Q to tell us foreknowledge that the Pope is going to end up changing the Lord's Prayer, and that happened. Okay, and I was just like, holy cow, this is bigger than even I can imagine. That it's global. That to have the foreknowledge that the Pope is going to make changes to the Lord's Prayer and tell us that weeks before it was any news anywhere that you could find about it, and then it future proves past.
That almost doesn't compute, Joe. How does someone figure that? How does someone know that?
The NSA, man, we have it all.
Yeah,
that's so awesome.
That one is one of my other favorite. That one's as big to me, almost as big as the McCain Dog Day Afternoon one, because have that kind of knowledge what's going on inside the Vatican and what the Pope is thinking of doing. That's just straight full control. You don't, you don't just haphazardly manage to hack into some comms from the Vatican. That's mind blowing.
The tippy top one is hands down the most fun, because to give people background, if they're not sure, it's right there in that pink boxes. And Anon had asked, put in the request, can Q work in, or Trump, can you get POTUS to work in something like tippy top? And that request was fulfilled, and Trump did it in a big way. And he since did it after that several different times. But
I think it's
the fact that he did it, and at an Easter egg rollout with, this crazy bunny next to him and Melania, it was just hilarious. And then when Abs and I did it on the show, we had the best time. We were dying, and at one point I ended up putting on bunny ears and we're just goofing about it. But
That was show 17 of Eye of the Storm. We purposely lined that up because that was a favorite Q proof of ours. So that one was really fun, and it's still fun. He still says it. He still says it every once in a while.
I think I have 5 versions because I'm in the middle right now of doing a video for somebody that asked. I can't wait for that video to come out. It's another Q-proof video by A and On. Keep your eyes out for that. But I'm gonna do the tippy top for him, and I'm gonna do Good Win 15, which is one of my favorites.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good one too.
And next one is the McCain one. Every dog has its day. So I kind of touched about it earlier that it just really shocked my senses that I was having dinner. I was out at a restaurant. Got my phone. I get an alert, and McCain passes away. And I was like, wait a minute. What day is today? And I'm like scrolling back to the Q drops, done in 30. I was like, wait a minute. That was 30 days ago exactly. And I'm like, what time was that? And then I got home, put it all together, and it was just like mind blowing. And then Q was asked, you know, how did you do all this? And he was like, simple, we just made it public. So
how long is this one, Joe? Can I play this one? This one really woke me up.
This one's a good 8 or 10 minutes, or this one might actually be 18 minutes.
Are you guys okay with it? Because I'm going to tell you the truth. Out of all the Eye of the Storms, when I had people ask me about Q proofs, and from watching your guys' show, this is the one I showed. I made Kim sit in bed and watch this with me well before you guys knew me at all. This one meant the world to me, and I'm sure there's at least part of this audience that's never seen it. If you guys are okay with it, I know it's a longer one because I made Kim watch it. If you guys are cool with it, I'd like to play this one.
It's your show, brother.
All right. If you guys are down with it, yeah, let's do it.
Or the baddest Q proof ever, in my opinion.
To be more specific, yes.
This one is great sick. I don't care if you were Q'd in day one or you just woke up to Q last week. There's going to be several things in this that there's so many twists and turns in this Q proof that even compiling it back myself, I was like, whoa, holy cow, this is crazy. And Absolute and I kind of gave this a walkthrough, and it's pretty sick. But so the place I'm going to start here is in Q 1280, where Q wrote in 2 different ways. Done in 30, he wrote out, and then he put the number 30 in the kill bracket. And he kind of the Q team circles back and explains this a little further as we go. But this was the starting point to put in your memory bank. Done in 30, and the 30 in the kill box. Then Q comes back on Q 1649, June 30th, 2018. And this was a reply to an Anon. And Anon says, please don't let no name. And if you're new to Q, John McCain was so bad that Q let us know that they didn't even want to say his name. And I'll do another Q proof about Trump wouldn't say his name at several press conferences and different things. But so when you see no name in the Q drops, or if you hear Absolute and I calling him no name, it's because that's the nickname that Q team let us know that they had, because they had no respect for John McCain. So here's what the Anon wrote. Please don't let no name, meaning McCain, off the hook. He is a disgrace to veterans across this great country, and he needs to be held accountable. And Q replied, no name action. Every dog has its day. And then just remember that. So let's move forward. So at the time, John McCain supposedly was having these medical issues, and we didn't really see him out in the press or anything. So there was really no news on John McCain too much. And then Q posts this in 1706. Important to note, July 25th, 2018. And John McCain, the picture that Q chose is John McCain with his hands up, and says, basically no name, meaning McCain is going to be returning to the headlines soon. But, I looked into this particular picture. It was back from like 2009. It was just something that Q was referencing, look for McCain news. There's a reason why I chose this picture. It will make more sense as we go. So then John McCain passes away. John McCain, who had a Playboy image, blah, 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 blah. He had brain cancer. He was 81. John McCain's office said in a statement that John McCain died at 4:28 p.m. He was announced July 19, 2017, that he had some sort of brain tumor. So John McCain has passed away August 25th, 2018 at 4:28 p.m. So what Q says here is that it's Q 1933, and Q has given us a little more of a heads up of what just occurred. So this is August 26, 2018, and Q says suicide weekend, hands up. That 30 again in the kill brackets, 0.28 in the kill bracket. Impossible, coincidence, we are in control, big week ahead. And again, this was in reference to what we just read as far as the news from August 25th, 2018 about John McCain's passing. And we're going to explain what Q meant in all this in the next slide. Okay, so let's take this step by step, and it's very important. So on that Q post that I showed earlier, Q 1706, that was on July 25th. Okay, so McCain passed August 25th. So there's your 30. July 25th to August 25th, Q gave us exactly a 30-day heads up. And Q posted this, Q dropped 1706 at 7:28 p.m. And when did McCain pass away? He passed away at exactly 4:28 p.m. So in other words, when Q made this post, he was showing you John McCain in the surrender hands. He gave us 30 days advance, and he gave us the minute mark. And exactly 30 days later, at the 28th minute, he passed away. Okay.
Holy shit.
It's actually the same time zone. So remember, I said to put in your memory bank, every dog has its day. Well, like I said, John McCain passed away on August 25th. Well, just hours later, on August 26th, that Sunday, August 26th, 2018, what day was it? Just happened to be International Dog Day. So another connection. Q gave us the heads up about No Name. It wasn't just a sporadic, every dog has its day. You can see the line above it, No Name action, meaning McCain. Look for McCain action tied to the phrase, every dog has its day. So he gave us the 30 days, the 28th minute, and every dog has its day, all Q proofs. But there's more.
There's always more. And actually, I have something to add on to the prior one. When you're done with these, Joe, it's something I just noticed. I'm still kind of putting it together though, so feel free to carry on.
So Q 1935, August 27th, 2018. So, McCain had passed on the 25th. Q replied on the 26th with some more, connecting the dots. And now he goes a little further. Ask yourself, and above, central to the operation success, would you pick to lead such organizations? Think of the Hillary Clinton election loss. What happens with the Hillary Clinton Foundation's inflow stop? That Hillary Clinton's inflow stop means No Name Institute inflow ramp. So in other words, the people that were giving money into the Clinton Foundation started flooding into the No Name Institute, is what Q is saying there. Compared to donors, define dark money, direct correlation. Here's the key phrase. McCain did not depart on his own terms. Whoa. And then Q reiterates about the 30, exactly 30, giving us some lead time. And then John Kasich, as just days after the passing, had this really odd kind of slip up, if you will, that wasn't corrected with on CNN with Chris Cuomo. It's a short, 10, 11 second video. If we have that one, Absolute.
We do, sir. Here we go.
Congress, though, it's like 24 hours since John McCain was put to death, and look at this circus of a hearing that's going on. Here's what
What did you just say?
This is my favorite.
So he says it was just 24 hours. John McCain was put to death, and he said it coldly and didn't correct it, and neither did Chris Cuomo.
I'm getting older, and I don't hear as well as I used to. I'm going to listen to that one more time, just one more time for posterity.
Congress, though, it's like 24 hours since John McCain was put to death, and look at this circus.
Man,
that is like the mother of all Freudian slips. Either that or he was told to say that.
Okay. So then onward on The View, I believe, his daughter, Meghan McCain, what does she have to say?
Let's hear.
Like, you're so sensitive. First of all, you're talking about sitting senators, and you're talking about Congress people, Maxine Waters, Mitt Romney, Adam Schiff, Bernie Sanders, President Obama, the Clintons, my father. You can't kill him again, but whatever.
Whoa.
My father, you can't kill him again. Huh. I thought he just passed away with brain cancer.
That was my thought. That's crazy.
That's weird.
That's really weird. That's really crazy.
Let's see what else we got.
Yeah, let's do it. Because it just keeps getting better.
So going back a little bit, Q let us have a little heads up that they obviously was doing child trafficking right there and trafficking kids in plain sight. That was Q 1056.
All right, hold on. I got to stop this. So when I saw this, guys, look, I followed all of you coming up as a second generation Anon. This next part blew my mind.
Yeah,
I had never seen. Go ahead.
So after I did this, I went back to the timestamps of when Q wrote it at 7:28, and then he passed at 4:28. Arizona to Eastern. So you always use Eastern timestamps to determine what Q's talking about. So Q posted at 7:28 about done in 30. Now, I always thought Arizona was 2 hours difference than here, so I wasn't like thinking about it. But then after I made this video, I had dug deeper, and there's a couple times with the whole changing with Eastern daylight savings and all that crap that Arizona has a 3 hour difference in time zones than Eastern time. And sure enough, I went and pulled out all my calendars and everything. When Q wrote it, the 7:28 ended up to be 4:28 in exact time. So not only the 28-minute mark, but Q hit 7:28 when he wrote it in Eastern, which would translate to 4:28 Arizona time where he passed away. So I just wanted to add that. I figured that out after I made this video. But
well, I will tell you again, this was well before you guys had any clue who I was, right? So I got back on Twitter pretty early on when we were allowed back on, and I kind of tried to fill the vacuum. And when I saw you guys do this Q proof, this next part inspired me to write a thread. And I actually used your guys' Q proof and gave you credit in that thread before we were even, I don't know if, are you guys aware of that? That thread got a lot of views too, and I used and put the full link to this episode of Eye of the Storm in that thread. So, yeah, you guys, if you haven't seen this yet, prepare to have your mind blown.
7 and Non wrote that, but Q was responding back and explaining about different things that were on Ray Chandler's Instagram account. But the main theme here is, yeah, they did these things in plain sight. You know, it was people that you trusted. There was, you know, all these leaders and these top organizations and politicians were all involved in it. And then Q let us know in Q 372 that there's a house of cards coming, that it's going to, you know, Epstein's going to go down and it's going to implode from there. So keep these two things in mind: human trafficking in plain sight in a house of cards, and then listen to Cindy McCain, John McCain's wife, widowed at this time, what she has to say in this minute conference.
Combat against this issue. Are these power players a priority for us right now? Can we even touch them? Or is this a pipe dream that we need to address in the future somehow?
You know, it's like everything. You know, it hides in plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing, but we had no one that was legal aspect that would go after him. They were afraid of him for whatever reason. They were afraid of him. All of a sudden, someone said, "BS. We're not afraid of you anymore. And what you're doing is not only wrong, it's illegal. It's all those things." It's like a house of cards now. It's going to start tumbling, believe me. And these guys, if they don't leave the country, number one, they're going to get caught, and they're going and they not only will they get caught, but they're going to be made examples of, and that's exactly what we should be doing with these guys, especially. In my opinion, if I know there's questions, but
whoa.
So she, in that 1 minute video, while she was speaking about combating human trafficking, by the way, and she quotes "Hidden in Plain Sight" in House of Cards, in Epstein, the whole gamut here. It's almost as if this was part of the deal, that we would roll these people out from the shadows into the light and make them say things, basically quoting Q drops left and right. What do you got, Absolute?
Yeah, man, I absolutely agree with you. I think this is one of the most ironclad signals that of who is in control and what was going on here with McCain. Like, it's just absolutely mind-blowing, the kind of comms and detail that surrounded this one, man. I'm with you. I believe that all three of them were probably told what to say. Like, you need to go say this now. Enjoy.
So a few weeks ago, we went through this all back and forth with Snowden and his mentor, John Perry Barlow, and how Q posted about the connection. And then 10 days later, John Perry Barlow had a heart attack and passed away. So Anon was replying back to Q with that type of thread. And that's why at the bottom here, it says Barlow death, PNG. And basically, the Anon was asking Q, what's up with this? How did this happen? How did you be able to tell us 10 days in advance that somebody was going to be suicided? And Q replied, simple. We made it public. Operation closed and clean. You think it's a coincidence that we just posted 10 days ago and he's off the board? But here's the tie-ins. Coincidence, no name McCain, exactly 30 days. And then coincidence, suddenly Senator Graham all of a sudden was activated at the time.
Holy crap.
But here's something that I quote, Absolute can attest. I say this, day in and day out. This is a very important line in these Q drops. In the end, you will be shocked, in quotations, to learn what you've, again, quotations, essentially witnessed. Think about the bomber, how we knew it hours prior, where we go one, we go all. But again, what Q is alluding to, and Q has said it all throughout the drops, not only are we in this giant position of full control, but every once in a while they give us a little peek behind the curtain, like they did here, and gave us exactly 30 days, exactly to the minute, of John McCain coming off the board. And you'll be shocked to learn what you essentially witnessed. Yeah, we all saw it, but you didn't really know what happened. 99.99999% of the country just thinks John McCain passed away with a brain tumor. They have no idea that Q gave us the heads up 30 days in advance to the minute. So what does that tell you? That tells you exactly what Q said earlier. John McCain did not depart on his own terms. Okay.
Wrinkled flag.
Yeah, it's pretty I mean, I'm convinced at this point, man. Like, Q literally just walked you through all of it, told you everything that went down there. And Joe, I'm going to go back to slide 7 real quick, because somebody in chat had pointed out, but this is actually what I was looking up when this person pointed out. They said 7:28 Eastern, 4:28 Pacific. And so I had to question myself, where did he die? Because I had assumed it was probably in DC at Walter Reed or something like that. And yeah, it was in Cornville, Arizona at that. So we know all the corn stuff surrounding Q and the corn comms and stuff. So he died 4:28, which would have been the same exact time the post was made. So not only did Q call the minute there, but Q literally posted at the same time John McCain was being announced as dead. Like, I don't know what else shows full control. Like, I don't know if anything else from the Q drops, let me rephrase that. I don't know if anything else from the Q drops, in my opinion, shows the level of full control that did. And I cooked up a couple of small graphics too, just kind of like the rubber stamp on everything you just put together, Joe, because that was absolutely fantastic. And if you look, this is from John McCain's funeral with his coffin lying in repose in the Capitol. His flag is wrinkled, like it's wrinkled to hell and back. Like that is not normal at all. Not for somebody getting a state funeral or a funeral to this degree. And so I did some trolling around the internet, and I found that, you know, I think it was Ascora or something like that. And this is a guy that was a retired funeral director and embalmer, 34 years. He even dealt with military burials and all that. And he says a burial flag is provided by the Department of Veterans Affairs, most commonly using the U.S. Post Office as a distribution point. A funeral director, that's me, goes to the post office with an application and receives a flag in a small rectangular box. It is very tightly crammed into that box, and it is very wrinkled. At that point, the funeral director will either take it to a cleaner's to have it pressed, or he will do it himself using a standard iron. I've ironed many a flag, but a commercial cleaners will usually do a better job. I will then place the flag on the casket as instructed by the next of kin for the decedent. So you're meaning to tell me that it's usual protocol for them to make sure that that flag is not wrinkled when it's going over somebody's coffin for a funeral of that degree? What's that? What do you take from that, Joe? It's just full control, right?
Yeah, nothing to see here. You know, just a sitting state senator, like you're saying, they would take those precautions for just about anybody in the government. But you know, a high-ranking person with a long military career just happens to have this destroyed, wrinkled up looking flag. Yeah, that was a notice that he wasn't respected.
Yeah, absolutely. Almost the same thing as we've pointed out Joe's inauguration. You know, the guys standing off to his side, their ribbon stacks, all their insignias are covered up. It's because they don't respect them. These people aren't respected. So I think there's one thing left for this, a Q drop of this magnitude. What do you say, Joe?
Well, let's just rock through it for a second. So what we have, we had Q giving us the picture of McCain with his hands up in the suicide position that he succumbed. He put it out on 30 days notice to the minute. Yeah, if you set the hour different time for the different time zones, yeah, Q gave us the hour and minute and second if you want. Then we had John Kasich saying that he was put to death. He had his daughter say Trump can't kill him twice. He had his wife say, yeah, House of Cards, hidden in plain sight, all about Epstein, in the wrinkle flag. Boom.
Knew that was coming. Look, hindsight's 2020. That hit just as hard that time as the other 17 times that I've watched it, because there's been enough time between. I hope that all you in the audience appreciate the type of work and dot connecting that goes into a decode proof as that one did. Look, you guys came up with that one and blew my mind, and I was already on to 75% of it. What's her face? His wife speaking just blew my mind. It was awesome. So thank you from second gen anons to you guys on that one.
That one's a classic case of if it was one of those things, you're like, huh. But when you put all that together, it becomes pretty clear what happened.
Yeah. It's go ahead, Joe. Do you have thoughts before we keep going?
Yeah, just keep scrolling. There's one more.
I'm in.
All right. So, well, let's show the funny meme I put in there. We'll go back up a little bit.
I missed. Oh, I missed the.
There we go. All right. There we go. All right. So this one I put the genius in it is its simplicity, you know, because we didn't find out till later, and then Q lets us know that we orchestrated the dates to sync up, that John Durham actually started way before the date that was given. But the Q mission started on October 28, 2017. And then lo and behold, you know, we had all this news about John Durham. He's in the news and all this. But then we get like the documents later on that he actually started on October 28, 2017. And then Q let us know and confirmed it right there in that bottom Q there. Think about the month and day Durham initiated. Think about the month and day Q public campaign started. How many coincidences before it's mathematically impossible? It was over before it began. So that one is very simple, but very powerful. That, we have this huge Q operation going on, and then like the big thing was all about this Durham news and all that. And he's in the news 24/7. And then we don't find out till later on. But then when we find out that his mission, his investigation, he signed on to do this thing, was also on October 28th, 2017. Those perfect.
I love it.
And I just had to put on the so a lot of people don't know that the famous first image in the Q drops is, Washington crossing the Delaware, but that boat that they're in it was a Durham boat. That's the type of boat that they were in with George Washington. So I had a meme put together with Durham on a Durham boat with the date there of the 10/28/17 there. Just a little funny.
I love that.
And I'm just like, whether you're new to Q or not, these proofs are key. Okay. This is a perfect article to share with somebody they got to be ready. If they're not ready to learn, don't bother. But if they're ready and they want to learn, this article goes through these 5. We only really showed the 1, but we showed 2. If somebody's ready to learn and they watch these 5 proofs one after another, and they have an open mind, you have to come away with it being like, whoa, this is something legit. All right.
Well, let me real quick just promote both your Substacks while we're here. So Stormy Patriot Joe's newsletter, absolutely a must read. Do yourself a favor, go and subscribe. And same thing for Abs. Abs, you're doing Q for Dummies. I just heard you do it on your last episode, right before the whole school shooting Nostradamus prediction that you guys did. You went through one of your Q for Dummies, right?
Yeah, I went through chapter 4 on Tuesday's show. The most recent chapter I've released is chapter 18, which were actually, I just went back and looked through that because I was like, maybe we can go over that on this episode of Rambo. And I got about a quarter of the way through it. I was like, yeah, no, we're going to save this for Tuesday because the entire Q for Dummies is about the drops talking about 9/11. So we'll go over that Tuesday night as well. But it's, I do the Q for Dummies on Badlands Substack, and then I have my own Substack as well, where I post a lot of different musings and videos and the occasional article when I can find time to put one together. I want to put together a really in-depth one on JFK. I just got to find the time to do it. But yep.
Yeah. They're both absolutely brilliant Substacks. And you want to know why? I end up loving the ones that I was involved in is because of the ones that you guys laid out before us, right? So you guys have heard me say it before, and I just did just a couple minutes ago, but I want to describe what it felt like for a second generation Anon to be involved in a Q proof. And the first major one is the one that I always talk about because I was part of it, right? So a bunch of people saw it. It was pretty blatantly obvious when we saw that vote for McCarthy, Speaker of the House. So it is, in my opinion, completely impossible to land on an exact 5-year delta that says good win in 15. It took 15 votes to land McCarthy in the seat of Speaker of the House. The last person to vote was Robert Good of Virginia. He voted present, but it was the last vote that allowed McCarthy to win the seat in 15 votes, only a few minutes after midnight, if I remember correctly, to land on an exact 5-year delta. There's no way that happens without a level of control.
Right.
It's impossible. And then I'm going to have to add last night to the list because, boom, I got to put an exclamation point on the work that you guys did. And the reason I'm bringing that up is you can start following Q now and still be part of this whole thing. And I think that's why we're still seeing these proofs, because the Great Awakening is a process, right? You OGs laid the groundwork for what is now becoming an unbelievably large movement. So you said 99.99999. I saw it in the the post. I think that percentage is getting smaller because more people are seeing thank you Q, right? This is awesome. It's so cool. And I hope there's third and fourth and fifth generation anons and we keep going because this is mind blowing. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. So I want to say thank you to you guys. It's an honor to even be able to hang out with you. What you've done before, me and a lot of other people have gotten involved and started to see and connect dots ourselves is it's worth its weight in gold. So you guys are amazing. I don't know if there's anything else I want to throw it in your hands. I'm probably going to wrap because I'm starting to hear kids come in from school, but if there's anything else you guys want to promote or talk about, I know I'm really excited about coming over there on the 10th into the 11th of September and being on with you guys. But if there's anything you want to promote before getting out of here, I'd love to hear it. Last words.
We got Eye of the Storm tomorrow night, obviously at 9:00 Eastern Standard Time, and then again Sunday evening. We got that third episode a week going now, and that's at Sundays at 7:30. So it's Tuesday nights at 10:30, Fridays at 9:00, and Sunday nights at 7:30. And then, of course, after that, man, we're going to have next Tuesday, you're going to be on the show, going to do a lot of talking about 9/11 and paying some respect and tribute to that, while also breaking down the false flag element of it. And, me and Joe are still, like I said, a little undecided what format we're going to use for that show. But I suspect there's going to be a whole lot of 9/11 digging and false flag exposing going on, even for the new folks who are just joining Q who may not be aware of what all happened during 9/11 or how that was arguably the biggest false flag we've ever faced. And so it'll be fun to drop some red pills on that and expose some new eyes to that one for sure, man. And as you pointed out, Joe's Substack and my Substack as well. You can also make sure you follow Joe over there on Twitter as well. He's constantly popping out decodes and comms as he sees them every day. So it's about all I've got to promote at the moment, my friend.
My man. Joe, how about you, bud?
I think we covered all the promotional things. I just was watching, Trump before we went live here, and one thing he confirmed is Musk has agreed to become a part of the Government Efficiency Commission. So, that would be interesting to see. Like when he went into Twitter, he got rid of 70-80% of the team, and it's running better than it ever ran. That's for sure. So, if he can duplicate that with the waste, fraud, and abuse within the government, that's a big plus. But just the fact that Donald Trump is tapping Musk to do that speaks volumes that Patriots are in full control. What we say on the show is, Musk, he's got questionable past. There's no getting around that, but doesn't mean that he's not being used for the White Hats at the moment. And that's where I stand with the guy, that Trump wouldn't have made him the largest paid DOD contractor, wouldn't have given him access to the federal lands to shoot these things into space. And whatever he's putting up in space is probably way bigger than we all can imagine as well. And it has to do with security as well. Not just, that he's got a smartphone coming out or something. It has to. I'm sure it has to do with security systems up there in space as well. So my point is, Donald Trump and the Q team and the U.S. military are in full control with what's going on with Elon Musk. And look at it, he came all full circle. He went from this wicked leftist, electric car guy to fully endorsing Donald Trump, and now he's just red pilling like crazy on his. He's almost up to 200 million followers. He's at like 196 million followers. So he's largest social media person in the world, like one of the richest people in the world. So he's got a lot of pull, and he's just firing red pills pretty much every single day. And we highlight him on the show for a reason.
Look, I believe in gray hats. I think that there's more gray hats than there is white or black. And I think that Patriots in full control needs to be taken into account when you consider people like Elon Musk. He is the highest paid civilian contractor of the DOD. That is really interesting. When he walked in with the kitchen sink, when he took the picture of his nightstand, and when he dropped the 7-Eleven comms, I became an Elon fan. I don't necessarily think that everything he does is something I agree with. I don't. But here's the thing. Elon Musk has his hands in every single deep state company on the globe, right? So communications and satellites, electric cars, batteries, computer chips, right? We can keep going. Now social media. How do you run a sting operation without having someone like that be involved? Elon Musk could literally take down the planet if he wanted to. And I think he might be part of it. It's awesome. Yeah, so I don't know. I understand why people don't love him and many others, but gray hats were a must, and I think Elon Musk is turning into much more of a white hat than a gray hat, so it's cool.
I mean, even Gandalf wore a gray cloak before it was white, right?
Yeah, right. Donald Trump was friends with all of them.
Yeah, infiltration goes both ways, man.
He told us straight up, I was an insider. It was awesome when I was an insider. He told us straight up, it was a great life. I enjoyed being an insider. It was good.
Yeah, they thought he was their Pied Piper. He was a Pied Piper, all right, just not for what they thought.
Yeah. All of a sudden, they all switched up real quick, huh? When they found out he was going to be in control.
Oh shit! Where the rats? He's leading to the slaughter.
Well, yet again, this has been absolutely awesome, you guys. It's an honor. I'm gonna drop you down so you don't have to go through my whole cleanup session. But thank you very, very much. I can't wait to hang out with you Tuesday. I can't wait to watch your show, all of the shows. If I have the time, I will be in there in the live chat, and we'll continue to do this thing together, stronger together. I appreciate you both. Thank you.
Yeah, Tuesday should be wild. We got a lot of not only with you coming on, but whether or not there's going to be a debate, that's that day. Cuomo is supposed to be testifying on his role with COVID. That's on that day. And then we're going to be on from 9/10 into 9/11. So we got all the 9/11 stuff to talk about. So it's going to be just a wild day. We've got a special memer that we're going to include on that show. So look forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Is that Q Kitty? Do we get a Q Kitty sighting?
It's the one and only Q Kitty. You guys get to see him today. It's kind of spazzing out. It's well past time for some treats. He's losing his shit a little bit over here.
All right. Well, go get some treats. Thank you again, guys. I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Rambo.
Yep, much love. Boom. Another fire show. Those guys are unbelievable. I hope that I'm not the only one that feels absolutely blessed to have their presence for a few hours to hang out like that every week. It means the world to me to hang out with not only them, but also the other amazing Anons and Diggers and Patriots that we have on the show. Those guys have been quite an add to the circle of amazing people. So with that being said, please hang out. Come back tomorrow because we are going to have Dave from News Trees, and me and Dave are going to hang out one-on-one here. He was gracious enough to have me over on his platform, and now we're going to do it here together on this show. While you guys are all in here, I'm going to ask one more time. Look, it absolutely made my week last week when we made the leaderboard for the first time. 4 months on this platform, we've had Rambo and Frens, and we already made the leaderboard, and it was because of all you guys smacking that thumbs up button. So if you could do that again for me, I would love to see if we can possibly make it. It was awesome last week. I'm sure it'll happen again, whether it's this one or not, but it means the world. No, not Dave. Ben. Dave is also my favorite, though. I love Dave. Inside joke. Yeah. And then if we could, real quick, thank the sponsors. I always forget to do this in the beginning, but there's more of you here anyway now. Mike Lindell, absolute patriot in this movement. He's one of the only people beating us over there on pill.net right now, as he should. He's a legend. But I've got all of his products, the pillows, the slippers, the robe. I have the flip-flops. We got the big pillow and the smaller pillow. His products are amazing. What he's done for this country is about second to none. The dude has kept election integrity as far as the conversation is concerned on the forefront throughout this whole 4-year, what felt like a snail's pace of a process as there is. And Mike Lindell deserves our support, and he jumped right on board to support the show. So please, if you're going to go over to mypillow.com, use promo code Rambo. And then the other one that I'm really excited about right now, as you guys seem to keep supporting it, I really would love to hear some reviews, because a lot of you guys have gone out there and supported epicminerals.net. It's the same thing. It's promo code Rambo if you want to support this show by going out there and doing so. But Patrick Gunnels is a very large part of this company. I have all the products right here. I have a very large bottle of Rainfall upstairs, so that way I'm able to keep these ones down here where the girls can't get to them. But the products are awesome. If you want to detox yourself from any chemicals or metals that they've been putting in our system that we're now seeing RFK talk about, this is something that so far I've heard nothing negative, and I'm loving the lotion for sure. Again, I really want to buy the soap. We'll see here shortly when we get finances right. I will be letting you guys know how that goes because I'm a big bar soap guy. But epicminerals.com, if you want to detox, get some lotion, get some creamy body butter. I'm thoroughly impressed with how many people are going out there to support patriot companies like epicminerals.net. So thank you guys all for doing so. Promo code Rambo. And then let me just get to whoever might have supported us over here. Oh, there's a bunch of gold pills. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. So Filter Dog 1 with the can, all-star cast today. Thank you very, very much. I'm thoroughly impressed with how many people were here. Again, I haven't even been on Pilled for even close to the 4 months. I don't think we started over here until episode 20 or 30 even. So it's really cool to see the support we're getting over on pill.net. Filter Dog, thank you for the can. Sly Park with the cookie, thank you very, very much. Trump Red Pill 1 with the cookie. Braves Piano with the cookie. Hi, Rambo and Friends. Hi, Braves Piano. You're awesome. Thank you for your help over there on pill.net. Trump Red Pill 1 again with the cookie, and your boy Death with the cookie. Looking forward to the show. I did that backwards. I hope you enjoyed the show. Now we're at the end. And then over on Rumble, I want to say, first and foremost, I see you guys that are Red Castle supporters. It means the world to me. It's like $5 a month or something to become a Red Castle supporter. That adds up very, very quickly, and I'm hoping will potentially get me to the point where I don't have to go burn trash for a living. We're not even close, but it's a dream of mine. Radio has always been something I wanted to do. F Clan, thank you very much for the cookie. I see you adding on. So those Red Castle subscribers, you guys mean the world. John Henry Bonzo, unity is strength, unity is power, unity is humanity. Trust in the Lord and lean on your own understanding. Boom. That's a freaking good one. Thank you. I appreciate that Rumble rant. And there was one more I saw. If it disappeared, I took a screenshot. I don't ever call sign Cujo. Cujo, by the way, I did get your message. I will be calling you. We will set something up. I would love to come over on your show. $5 Rumble rant just because y'all are awesome. Thank you very, very much. With that being said, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to pill.net and I'm going to release the scratching. For anybody that isn't aware, it is a way to give back to all the people that show up and hang out and have a good time and have these conversations, patriots and anons alike. Over on pill.net, it's a way to give back to the people that are there. So it's like a little scratch off and you can win some pills, which is how you support your favorite show over on pill.net. So the scratching has been released. Guys, I hope that y'all hit that positive affirmation button on whatever platform you're on. And I hope that you're here tomorrow at 1 p.m. as we get to hang out with Dave from News Treason. And of course, Tuesday night, I will be on Eye the Storm. What an honor. So I will see you guys all on the flip side tomorrow at 1 p.m. So much love, and we'll see you then. Bye.